Hi, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to Sci-Fi Fans. I'm your host Wayne, and just thought we'd have a little weekend chill and chat kind of thing, um, and go through the previous week's box office. Probably talk about Doctor Who as well, because that's one thing that I would like to talk about as well. So, starting off with the box office, Lilo and Stitch is still number one with over £3.5 million. This is the UK box office, of course. So if you're watching me in the States, I'm not sure about the States. I'm based in the UK, so everything that I will be talking about will be based on the movies over here, this side of the pond, as it were. So Lilo and Stitch is still number one with £3.5 million so far. I mean, it's made an absolute fortune, that film, and I'm kind of pleased that it has been a hit. But I also fear that this will give Disney the insight that now that they've had one really successful remake of a animated film, that they're going to go ahead and make even more. And this is the thing: the films in the top 10, at least half of them, you could say, are due to creative bankruptcy. And we've got Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible, Ballerina, and Karate Kid just in the top five alone. So the success of Lilo and Stitch, I think, is only going to make Disney decide that they can do some more of these remakes from the animated films. Now, for those of you that are unaware what Lilo and Stitch is about, this is, as I say, a live action remake of a beloved 2002 animated Disney film, and it follows Lilo, a lovely Hawaiian girl who is dealing with the loss of her parents, and she adopts what she believes to be a dog, but it's actually an alien, an experimental alien. In fact, experiment 626, which is a genetically engineered alien designed for destruction named Stitch. And yeah, I mean, it's been a success. It was a success at the when it came out in 2002, and it's a success now. Critics are saying that this has kind of had a bit of a mixed review. I think that's possibly because it is a remake of an animated film, but it's performing well at the box office. And this is another one of those unnecessary remakes, really, to be honest. But it is doing really well, and I fear that we're just going to get more Disney remakes. So, in at number two is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and that's made 2.3, maybe $2.4 million, million pounds, sorry. And to be precise, it's 2.312435 thousand pounds. This is supposed to be the final Mission Impossible film, but how likely is that? I don't know. This is the eighth film in the instalment. Of course, Mission Impossible started off as a 60s TV show. So, just saying hi to a few people. Hotep Deity, Danny Sweeney, 111 Scorpion, thank you. Hi. Critics have, again, this is another one of those films that's been received generally positive, and there has been some universal praise with the ambitious stunts and the action sequences. But I think the problem with this film is that we've seen all of the best bits in the trailer. Trailer came out, you got the stunt with the biplanes, and Tom Cruise is known for doing all of his own stunts, and who can blame him if he really wants to do it? Why not? But he's getting on a bit. I mean, he's in his 60s now. Not that that should detract anybody in their 60s from doing what they want to do. Um, Ballerina. Now, this is an interesting one. I haven't seen Ballerina yet, but it is on top of my which watch list. Ballerina is set in the John Wick universe, in case you didn't realise or hadn't seen John Wick. I hadn't until recently, and yeah, I can see why they've been successful. Keanu Reeves is perfectly cast in the role as John Wick, and it all started off with a dog. If you've seen the films, you know what I mean. So John Wick, I would highly recommend that you go and watch. Ballerina is on my want to watch list, and that's been getting reasonable reviews as well. The problem is, I think what they've tried to do with Ballerina is a little bit too late because we've had so many films with strong female leads, and it seems to be a bit of the messaging. So when you get a film that can be as crafted as well as Ballerina has been, with some genuine non Mary Sue characters in there, we're kind of a little bit bored of this kind of thing, haven't we? Because everything that we see seems to have a strong female lead. But getting back to Ballerina, this is generally being seen as a worthy addition to the John Wick universe, even if it doesn't quite reach the heights of the main film. Critics are praising the action sequences, describing them as creative and well choreographed. What I also like about this is the fight scenes that we've seen are genuinely believable of sorts. I mean, you go to the movies, you put your brain in a box for certain films, and you don't worry too much about the realism or what you're watching on screen. But it does help if it is at least believable. And I think some of the fight scenes and the techniques that they have introduced with Ana de Armas are believable. You know, she's not going to win every single fight, but there are ways of winning against a much stronger opponent, and there's a bit of believability from what I've seen with the fight sequences. The Salt Path. Now, this is a film that I don't know too much about. This is coming in at number 4 with just over £1 million, £1,364 to be a little bit more precise. This film is set in the world, set on a best-selling memoir by Ryan Wynn, and I don't know who that is. So whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, you tell me. Do you know who this person is? Now, this is a deeply moving British film and tells the true story of Raina and her terminally ill husband, Moth. After losing their home and livelihood, Moth receives a devastating diagnosis of a rare neurodegenerative condition, um, cortis basal degeneration. They embark on a courageous 630-mile trek along the southwest coast. I've seen trailers for this. This doesn't look too bad, but I think if it's based on a true story and you know the motivations are basically to try and make the most of life, it might be a little bit of a tearjerker at the end. Now, the film explores themes of resilience and love, as you would expect in a film like this, with rediscovery and the healing power of nature in the face of an immense adversary. So I think it's probably one of those heartwarming films, and with it being a British film, it's probably going to have pretty bad weather actually. If you're doing walk along the coast like that, it's going to be wet, windy, and everything else. So I think that film will be interesting for some if you like your memoirs and true stories. It certainly seems to be one of about courage. The critics of the Salt Path they've been a bit mixed, and sometimes I think it's difficult to review a film when it's based on a true story because you know what's going to be happening, and you know more or less the outcome, don't you? So it's got a bit of an average review, but it does star Gillian Anderson and Jason Isaacs, and it's lived in thoughtful performances as Ragnar and Moth, and their performance has been praised. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the sort of thing that would appeal to the mass audience, though. One film which I think will have a lot more appeal, and that's coming in at number 5, and that is Karate Kid Legends, coming in at just over £1 million. Do I have to say anything about Karate Kid? Have you seen Cobra Kai? What do you think about Cobra Kai? What they've tried to do with Karate Kid Legends, and I do kind of admire them for doing this to a degree, is when they tried to reboot the Karate Kid a few years ago with Jackie Chan, and also Jaden Smith, is it? Will Smith's son. It never really took off, and they did actually try and reboot the Karate Kid series with a girl back in the day, and that was the next Karate Kid, but as I say, that didn't really go anywhere. So what they've tried to do with this one is bring the characters from both of those films. They've tried to bring them together, and this is a film that doesn't really know what it wants to be, because on the one hand you've got the story of the child who moves from a strange area into a new city or town, and so they're pretty much the outcast. They get picked on, they have to enter karate tournaments and everything else. So the question is really, so the question is really, does this film bring anything to the franchise, and what does it do? How can it take the franchise forward? And I think this is one of those films that, if you're a fan of Cobra Kai or The Karate Kid, then you're going to enjoy this film because it's more of that universe. But I think if you are not familiar with this particular universe, you're going to be a little bit confused as to what's going on and the lack of utilizing the characters to their full potential. So Karate Kids. So let's go through it. It's got Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchino. So straight away you'd think they'd have quite a large part of this film, but they don't. They're kind of bit characters in it, which is a shame because if they'd utilised those two characters and actors more, the film would probably be a bit higher ranking on the older reviews. So the critics are saying that it received mixed critical responses, although audiences have been more positive. And I think that's because audiences kind of get the gist of the movie. Critics have often described the film as formulaic and adding that it doesn't bring anything new to the original formula. And with some noting that the pacing issues and tonal differences, they are quite substantial in this film, but many have praised Ben Wang's charismatic performance and the chemistry between him and Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchino is there. So it has got some chemistry. The introduction of a new character could be a good thing. Overall, though, it's entertainment value for a family audience, and it has been highlighted as quite positive. So if you've got a family, you want to go and watch something that's not going to be too boring for the complete family, then this could be the film for you. The score isn't exceptionally critic score isn't exceptionally high for this, but it's got a better than average Karate Kid score, excluding Cobra Kai. And Cobra Kai really took the Karate Kid to the next level. Now, I might be wrong here, and you can correct me in the comments, but I believe the Cobra Kai actually started off as a YouTube series that was then picked up by Netflix. So, moving on, number 6 in our top 10 is Final Destination Bloodlines, and this is made just over £600,000. Just when you thought they couldn't make another Final Destination movie, they come along and give you one. I find the concept behind this one interesting because you'd have thought after Final Destination everybody would have been killed off and there wouldn't be any more after that. But in this instalment, this is the 6th instalment of Final Destination. The premise remains true to the original series, but there's a new protagonist, a college student named Stephen Reese. He experiences a premonition of a horrific mass casualty event. Now, in this case, it's the collapse of a high-rise restaurant tower in 1968, so they're going back a little bit in time. She discovers that her dying grandmother, Iris, had averted this disaster years ago, and now death is coming for Iris's bloodline to claim the lives that it was cheated of. Which is a little bit of a twist on the original. The original kind of follows the timeline with death, if you like, from the off. So why death has decided to wait a couple of years, I don't know, perhaps it was on holiday, something like that. So anyway, death has now returned basically, and Stefan must try to prevent her family from death's elaborate and gruesome designs. This is something that the Final Destination films are well known for is the grisly deaths and sometimes the comical deaths, because the way that some of the people die is just a little bit comical, even if it is a little bit graphic. And the film explores the concept of fate and the desperate attempt to cheat it, which is something that we all try and do, I think, to a degree. We all try and live our own lives, but sometimes fate does intervene and leave you with no choice, really. What are the critics saying? Well, critics have given Final Destination generally positive reviews, with some calling it one of the best in the series. It's been praised for its brutal and creatively gruesome death scenes. It maintains the um, Rub Goldberg esque kills the franchise that the franchise is known for. Bloodlines has a twist. It's considered genius, adding a personal dimension to the horror, while some noted that it's a slightly slower pace with a more focus on family drama compared to the previous entries. The film is lauded for its tension and unpredictable terror. The strong lead performance is considered and this is considered a successful return for the franchise, bringing fresh energy and staying true to its roots, which would then beg the question that as this film it's in the top 10, has it made enough for it to be classed as a success at £620,000? I don't know. I wonder what the budget was for it. If they've made this film on a relatively cheap budget, and you can do that with horror films, then who knows? There might actually be a few more Final Destination movies in the pipe works, which could be quite entertaining if you're in that pipe at the same time. So coming in at number 7 on the box office is Papa Meets the Baby Cinema Experience. And this is just made over £500,000, and it's about an hour-long cinematic event based on the popular children's animated series Peppa Pig. So Pepper, I said Peppa, didn't I? Peppa Meets the Baby Cinema Experience. Well, say no more. That's all I'm going to say about this one. So number 8 is Clown in a Cornfield. That's made £350,000, and but what is it about? So this is a horror comedy film, and it's based on the novel of the same name. It follows Quinn Marybrook and her father Glenn as they move to a seemingly quiet, old-fashioned town of Kettle Springs after a family tragedy. That seems to be a main staple of these horror films, isn't it? The family generally move out after there's been some sort of family trauma or tragedy, and then something carries along and follows them. So anyway, they've moved, and as they move to the seemingly quiet and old-fashioned town of Kettle Springs after a family tragedy, they soon discover a deep generational divide. The older residents, clinging to tradition, are at odds with the town's rebellious youth. Great concept there. I mean, that's something else that is used an awful lot in films to give you that conflict, is you have a younger generation coming along with their way of doing things, and it always goes against the grain. They never have a film where the younger generation kind of grow up a little bit brainwashed and are quite settled into how things are done. There always has to be that rebellious youth, doesn't it? But things take a terrifying turn when Frodo, who's in the Shire, are at odds with Frodo, the town's creepy clown mascot. And again, classic horror. Let's have a clown for the villain. Now, the mascot re-emerges and begins violently attacking the teenagers, leading to a bloody showdown between generations. So, could be like a Scooby-Doo, couldn't it? They could unmask the clown, and it would have got away with it with one of those blasted meddling kids. Scooby-Doo horror film, that could be quite good, couldn't it? Now, you've had the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, and I think didn't they do a Pinocchio horror film? Well, could you imagine if the same people, I might send this off to them as a submission, if they'd done a Scooby-Doo horror film where the villain could actually be Scooby-Doo, the Great Dane. You know, I've just given them a plot there, haven't I? Anyway, What do critics say about Clown in Cornfield? This has received mainly positive to mixed reviews, with critics praising the cretaceous violence, cheer-worthy kills, the effective use of practical and special effects makes it a satisfyingly gory slasher. Again, these films aren't particularly expensive to make, and if you go down the usual trope and the usual formula, you'd have quite an attractive cast, young cast, and you just bump them off as the film goes on in some outlandish ways. So that's why they're so cheap to make, I think, as opposed to something like a sci-fi film where you have to have all the special effects. So anyway, it's noted for its attempt to blend horror with social commentary on generational divides, which some find this to be clever, while others felt the tonal shifts were jarring. So if you have seen this film, then leave me a note in the box below, and I'll have a read of them and tell me what you think. The film is described as a popcorn thrill ride and a homage to 80s and 90s slashers, delivering the expected blood and fun, while some found the characters underdeveloped or the plot formulaic. And this is the thing, you could say that about any particular genre of film. You know, if you're into sci-fi, you could turn and say, well, yeah, it's just another formulaic sci-fi show or something. And because there's been so many of them, hasn't there? And once the industry has once they get hold of something that's going to be quite popular, they generally don't let it go and milk it for everything that they can. But this film, at least, it's delivering on the expected blood and fun, while some find the characters underdeveloped. It's generally seen as an entertaining film for horror fans, particularly teenagers and those who appreciate old-fashioned slashers. So, yeah. It's funny how things go around in cycles, though, isn't it? I mean, we had the MCU for a long time dominating the box office, and everybody wanted to make superhero films. Now that they've been making crap superhero films, um, that's kind of dying a death, and people are saying that it's superhero fatigue. I don't think it's so much as superhero fatigue, but more we're fed up of the same crap. Now, this is where I think the horror genre has been sparked into life with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. That film was relatively successful because, again, you don't need this big budget, so you can make a good old slasher film and it becomes profitable. And because these studios have been seeing the losses that things like Marvel have been making and Disney have been making, studios are now focusing where the money is, which is the slasher films. So I wouldn't be surprised if these suddenly become the next phenomenon for the next 5 to 10 years. Um, so yeah, let me know if you've seen this film, Clown in a Cornfield. Let me know what you think about it, and come back and we can talk about it. So in at number 9 is the Pokean Phenonikin scheme, and this is made just under £300,000, so it hasn't made that much. But again, I don't know what the budgets are for this, and I'll find that out in a second. So this is the latest film from acclaimed director Wes Anderson, and it's a comedic spy thriller that follows Antelo, Zasa, Cadora, Benicio del Toro, a powerful and morally ambiguous 1950s European industrialist and arms trader. So it could kind of have hints of James Bond with this one. After surviving multiple assassination attempts, Cadora decides to pass on his vast empire to the estranged daughter, Sister Leslie, Mia Thepleton. I've seen the trailers for this. I've just realised which one this is, and this looks quite funny. Now, Sister Lies, who has devoted her life to the church, the film becomes a globe-trotting journey as Cadora navigates assassination attempts, complex business deals in a fictional Middle Eastern territory, and his complicated relationship with his daughter, all while grappling with themes of redemption, family, and consequences of a corrupt life. I'm looking forward to this one. This is a film that I think I will probably go and watch, and then I can do a review for you. um, yeah, it certainly looks funny, but the other thing I think we're quite used to at the moment is seeing all the best bits in a trailer. And something I'm semi looking forward to is the Alien Earth show that's going to be coming out in August, quite close to my birthday. I'm looking forward to it, but I do think that they're going over the top with all of these little trailers and snippets that they're showing. And I'm a little bit concerned that they're going to give away everything in those trailers because sometimes all the best bits are in the trailers. But what do the critics think of this one? The Fenenic scheme. It has received mixed but generally positive reception, with many calling it Anderson's best movie in years since Grand Budapest Hotel. Which, if this film is anything like that, I will thoroughly enjoy this. I thought the Grand Budapest Hotel was very cleverly written. It had some great characters. The cast was brilliant, and it certainly landed most of the jokes. So if this film is anything like that, then so if you've enjoyed the Grand Budapest Hotel, it sounds like you're going to enjoy this one. While others have found it slighter than his previous works, critics have praised the film's signature whimsical, meticulous craftsmanship and visual invention, along with its comedic elements and surprisingly dark moments. Benicio del Toro's deadpan performance is a highlight, and Mia Therapleton is noted as a strong new addition to Anderson's ensemble. The film exploration of deeper themes like finding purpose beyond business and the manipulation by oligarchs is appreciated, though some critics felt Anderson at times backed away from fully exploring these heavier topics. And that's probably down to audience appeal and marketability. Because if you're going to have a particularly marketable film, sometimes you don't go over that line or you don't go over that edge, do you? Because you want the film to be profitable and marketable, which is a shame because sometimes you miss out on some really good nuggets of entertainment that way. The films that really push the boundaries where they don't care have generally gone down as the ones that are the classics, and think Monty Python. I absolutely love Monty Python, the movies anyway. Life of Brian is my favourite, but then you've got the classic, the Holy Grail, and it's all the little bits of the attention to detail with these films. So who knows? I will go and see this one because it's one that I've logged and thought, yeah, I will go and see that. So yeah, on to number 10, and this is the UK top 10 so far, and this is Thug Life, coming in with £257,000, or just over £257,000, £659 to be precise. What is this one about? Well, it's about this is an Indian gangster drama, and it's with the highly anticipated reunion of Kamal Hussain and Ramia Ratan. It tells the story of Rangara Skavithli. I do butcher names on this channel, so I do apologise. If you don't like your name being butchered, then nothing I can do about that, just can't pronounce them half the time. Who is an ageing and feared mafia kingpin in New Delhi. The film explores his quest for redemption and revenge after being betrayed by his own brother, Manikan, and his adopted son, Amaran. Set against the backdrop of power struggles and underworld betrayal, the narrative delves into themes of loyalty, mistrust, and the complex bonds of family within the criminal world. So it could be entertaining, but what do the critics, what are they saying about this? So, The Thug Life has received mixed to negative reviews. While critics universally praise the film's stunning visuals, cinematography, and Kamal Hussain's powerful performance, the script and storytelling are widely criticised. The film is often described as formulaic, like we said earlier with some of the other films, predictable and tedious. With a dragged screenplay, many found the motivations of the characters unclear, and the multiple subplots often lead to underdeveloped characters and rushed scenes, lacking the emotional depth of Rami Rantan's previous works like Nakiana. Despite the technical excellence and strong acting, the film is seen as a missed opportunity that fails to deliver a compelling narrative, relying too heavily on aesthetics without capturing the emotional soul. This is where money talks. Money absolutely talks in this industry, and admittedly, if you want to make a film, you want to make a profit with that film. I understand that. But it does prevent people from taking a risk, being that heavily, finance is really dominating what's going on. This is why I think independent films, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with Critical Drinker, but he's actually started to make his own content, as have I. Um, my content's not quite the scale of Critical Drinker, but I'm certainly trying to generate my own universe, my own videos and stuff. And so I've created a company or a channel called Calling Tiger Media, and I'm not under any financial pressure. Yes, I'd love these stories to develop and start turning a little bit of a profit, but I haven't got the worry that if I release a video, it flops, I'm going to lose millions of pounds. I haven't got that worry, whereas studios do. So I do think that the industry itself is trapped in this perpetual cycle of wanting to make profit because they need to, but then they're trapped by making the general remake films because they want easy cash. When you have somebody like Thug Life or a film like Thug Life, the director and that are taking a chance. They're coming up with original characters and original story, so they have to make it formulaic to get the money. But then that goes against them because it's not original. Everyone's seen these things before, and they've probably seen these stories being told slightly better. So they flop. And one film that I thought was really, really good, my wife didn't, was Colossus with Anne Hathaway. I really enjoyed it because it was a little bit of a sci-fi flick, had like Godzilla elements with the mechs and stuff. Um, I liked it for its originality, so I could appreciate what they were trying to do. And Anne Hathaway, I watch most of her films anyway. I'm quite a big fan of hers. Um, so I enjoyed that, but my wife didn't because to her she didn't quite understand what they were trying to do with the film. Now I understood the concept and everything else, and for me that Colossus, it should have been more of a successful film than it was because of what they tried to do. But because they did break the mold to a degree, not everybody went to see it, so it didn't have the money. And that is why I semi understand why Hollywood is churning out the same old thing as they are at the moment. There's so this is out of the top 10, we have got at least half of these films being a remake or a sequel, um, which is quite a shame, really. But it's one of those continuous trends that I don't think we're going to be getting away from anytime soon. Then we're also going to have this injection of horror films, slasher films, because they're cheap and easy to make. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows? So, what should we do now? So, it's been chatting for half an hour, and you've been very kind in joining me. And thank you so much for everyone that has joined me here. I shall probably call this quits for now, and I will be back hopefully next week for another week of chill and chat and going through some good things and bad things in pop culture. I've got to give myself a homework. I'm going to go and watch Ballerina at some point this week, definitely, so I can do a review of that next week. And this other film as well, which the phononic scheme I would like to go and see as well. So I'll be able to give you a review on my thoughts on that next week. So stay safe, everybody. Look after yourselves, and I'll be back next week. Check out the channel for content for videos. I shouldn't really be saying content. It is content, but it's videos, and I do put a reasonable amount of work in these videos. Tell me what you want instead as well. If I'm doing something good, please let me know what it is I'm doing that's good. And if I'm doing something that you get a little bit frustrated with, then again, let me know what it is. Some comments are put on the YouTube videos that when I do the now and then videos, they're asking who are these actors and actresses because they don't know who they are. And as a result, now I name the actors in the videos. So I do listen, I do try and read all of your comments. It's not always possible to reply to all of the comments because sometimes I get an awful lot. But every comment and every interaction that you give me on this channel is appreciated. So take care of yourselves. I will be back hopefully next week with a review of Ballerina and one or two other films as well. So take care of yourselves. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy yourself, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.